Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're connecting from. Please confirm you can hear me loud and clear. How was your weekend? Confirm you can hear me loud and clear. Good morning, Ebuka. Confirm loud and clear. Also confirm you can see my screen. How was your weekend? We're back again, we're back again, we're back again. Start dropping your question, drop them in the comment section. Is any pair you're considering trading today and you want me to analyze? Let me know in the comment section. Confirm you can hear me loud and clear. Good morning, Mr. Adebayo. Can you hear me loud and clear? If you have any question, please drop it in the comment section. If there's any pair you want me to analyze, comment section. All right, good, 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 good. Okay, so let's start by looking at the fundamentals for the week. This week is loaded with a lot of major news from the United States. I think every day of this week there's a major news from the United States. There's a major news from the United States. So today is Monday. The only major news is coming from China manufacturing PMI. This is for China yuan. This is for China. We're not interested in this. We're not trading this. Okay. Then tomorrow, bank holiday for Canada by 2:30 p.m. The Bank of England Governor Bailey will be speaking by 2:30 p.m. That's tomorrow. And also the Bank of Japan Governor Yoda will be speaking tomorrow by 2:30 p.m. Fed Chair Powell will be speaking also by 2:30 p.m. And by 3 p.m., ISM manufacturing PMI and job openings will be released from the United States. So tomorrow is going to be a very volatile day. Okay. Then on Wednesday we have just one major news from the United States, which is ADP non-farm employment change. Thursday we have CPI, Swiss franc CPI will be released on Thursday by 7:30 a.m. Nigerian time, and by 1:30 average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate, and ISM services PMI will be released on Thursday. So I think NFP, non-farm employment change, will be released on Thursday, and that's because on Friday there is bank holiday in the United States. I was wondering yesterday when I checked, I was like, why are they releasing NFP on Thursday? Very unusual. I think it's because of the bank holiday on Friday. That's the reason they'll be releasing it on Thursday. Okay, so today we are not expecting any major news from the United States. Okay, so there's a technical setup is going to play out since client's price action. So if you see your technical setup, bullish or bearish, execute it, set your stop loss and your take profit. Good morning, Mr. Raphael. So if you have any question and any pair you want me to analyze, please let me know in the comment section. So that's it for the fundamentals. So let's go to the charts. So let's start by analyzing yen basket. Okay, let's analyze yen basket. Once you've been able to analyze, you've been able to identify the trend on yen basket, you should know the direction on currency pairs. If yen basket is bearish, it means JPY pairs will be bullish. If yen basket is bearish, and if yen basket is bullish, it means yen basket would be bearish, excluding USD JPY. Okay, except USD JPY, because on USD JPY you have yen as the counter On other JPY pairs, you have JPY as the no, yeah, JPY is the counter on all pairs. So if yen is bearish, you buy JPY pairs. If yen is bullish, you sell JPY pairs. Is that clear? Mr. Raphael, is that clear? So let's start by looking at the daily time frame. Or let's start by looking at the weekly time frame. It's a new week. So let's start by looking at the weekly time frame on yen. So as you can see, candle closed as a spinning bottom, which from bearish to bullish. You can see that. And since the market opens today, yen has been bullish, yen has been buying. But going by what we have on the weekly time frame, like I shared with you last week, I expect yen to come fill this fair value gap and clear the liquidity residing at this previous low. So this is where I expect yen. This is where I see yen aiming for. Okay, long term, yen is aiming for this fair value gap. Okay, so once you've been able to identify the higher time frame trend, then you should look for bearish setup on the lower time frame. Okay, so let's go down to, so once you know that the higher time frame is sell, every buy is a retracement. Okay, every buy you see on the lower time frame is a retracement. The long term trend is bearish. You could also take advantage of the pullback. So, okay, just know what you're doing in the market. Okay, know what you're doing in the market. You can take advantage of the pullbacks also. It's just that the risk reward trading pullback is very low. It's very low. So you could just wait for the lower time frame to align with the higher time frame trend before you execute your trades. Okay, so let's go down to daily time frame. Okay, so today, like I said, you can see it's been buying. Okay, so this buy, I feel there's a fair value gap that it wants to fill. Okay, there's a fair value gap between this resistance, sorry, support stone resistance. You can see this. Okay, you can see this support area. Okay, so let's go down to lower time frame. I'm sure there's a fair value gap it wants to fill, or probably it just wants to clear. You can see all the liquidity residing at this previous high. Probably it just wants to clear the liquidity, sweep liquidity residing at this previous high before going bearish. Okay, so let's see. Let's go down to lower time frame for our. Okay, so you can see. Can you see this? It has swept the liquidity residing at this previous high. Okay, that's cleared the liquidity residing at this previous high. Also on the 4-hour time frame, you can see we have this fair value gap. So they might want to fill this fair value gap before going bearish. Okay, if you want to sell yen, patiently wait for price to fill this fair value gap. There is an area of liquidity here that needs to be swept. This high here. Okay, this high here needs to be swept. So patiently wait for price to fill this fair value gap before you sell. I see this shooting star. This shooting star that formed after this liquidity reset at this previous high has been cleared. I see it as a trap for retail traders. I see this as a trap for retail traders. Most retail traders would have jumped into sell, and their stop losses will be residing at this previous high. So there's a high probability they will clear the liquidity residing at this previous high before going bearish. So if you want to sell yen, I would advise you wait for price to come fill this fair value gap before you sell. That's my take on yen basket. Bearish. Look for sales on yen basket. Okay, and if it starts selling, this will be the first target on yen basket. You can see this sell side imbalance. Can you see this? Can you see this? Okay, so this is where you can see it has created this low here. This is a trap for retail traders. A lot of retail traders would have bought and their stop losses will be residing at this previous low and also at this low. So there's a high probability they will come fill the fair value gap here. Okay, so that's my take on yen. I'm bearish on yen today. I'm bearish on yen. Long term also, I'm bearish on yen. I hope that is clear. That's my take on yen. Let's see dollar index. So dollar index has swept liquidity. We're on a 4-hour time frame. As you can see, it created these lows last week, and this morning it has swept that low. It has swept sell side liquidity, and I think it would go for buy side liquidity, which is residing at this previous high. And also, you can see we have this fair value gap here that has not been filled. So I think dollar index is would aim for this fair value gap. That's my take on dollar index. So my bias for dollar index today is bullish. Okay, my bias for dollar index. Dollar index breaks out from this low, we should expect more sales. Okay, we should expect more sales if dollar index breaks out from this low. Okay, so this is 4-hour time frame. Let's go down to 1-hour time frame. Okay, so it's likely it created a fair value gap after this engulfing pattern. Okay, it is likely it created a fair value gap after the formation of this engulfing pattern. So if you want to buy, you could wait for price to pull back to fill the fair value gap it's created, and you'll be able to identify the fair value gap on a lower time frame. Let's see 15 minutes. Okay, so okay, it didn't create a fair value gap. So on 15 minutes, you can see here, and after liquidity got swept, you can see the shift in market structure as well here. On you can see that you can see the shift in market structure after sweeping liquidity, shift in market structure occurred. Okay, and after the shift in market structure, price is expected to pull back to a discount area. You could apply your Fibonacci from this swing low to this swing high, wait for price to pull back to a discount area, which will be below Fibonacci level 50. Okay, so let's go down to lower time frame. I'm sure there is a fair value gap it wants to fill. Let's confirm that on a lower time frame. Okay, cool. So you can wait for price to pull back. You can see the fair value gap it's created here. You can see this fair value gap. This gap has not been filled. There was an attempt at this point to fill the gap, but it wasn't filled entirely. You can see it. So I feel this low is an area of liquidity. Okay, this low, I see it as an area of liquidity. They might come for it. We also had this fair value gap here, and there was also an attempt to fill this fair value gap at this point. They actually filled this fair value gap at this point, and most retail traders would have executed buy after the formation of this bullish candle, and their stop losses will be residing at this previous low. So there's a high probability they will come sweep the liquidity reside at this previous low. Okay, so if you're considering buying dollar today, wait for price to come fill this fair value gap. Okay, retest this zone or this zone. That's my take for the dollar. So my bias for the dollar today is bullish. Shift in market structure has occurred on 15 minutes time frame. Sorry. Okay, this is 5 minutes time frame. Yeah, 5 minutes time frame. Okay, also on 15 minutes also shift in market structure has occurred. So that's the reason for my bullish bias for the dollar. So dollar is likely going to come fill this fair value gap here. See this fair value gap here. This would be my first target for the dollar index. Okay, I'm sure they are coming to sweep all the liquidity residing at these previous highs. Okay, so that's my take for dollar. I'm bullish on the dollar. I hope that is clear. If you have any question, any pair want me to analyze, let me know in the comment section. Okay, so let's start by looking at GBP USD. considering buying the dollar, I should look for sales on GBP USD. I should look for us on GBP USD, and you can see GBP USD has been bearish. GBP USD, this would have been a good entry for GBP USD. This fair value gap on GBP USD, this would have been a good entry for GBP USD. You can see this. This would have been a good entry. After price pulled back, filled this fair value gap, we had an engulfing pattern here. Can you see that? We had an engulfing pattern. This would have been a good entry. Okay, if you had missed this first opportunity, you had an opportunity to second opportunity to enter sell after price pulled back. I'm sure if fair value gap was created after the formation of this engulfing pattern. Let's confirm on 5 minutes. Okay, so you can see price had to pull back to a premium area. If you go to 1 minute, okay, you would see there's a fair value gap here. There's a fair value gap here. Price had to pull back to fill that fair value gap. And as you can see, shift in market structure has occurred on this is 5 minutes time frame. You can see the shift in market structure has occurred. We had a break of structure here. Can you see this break of structure? You can see we had a mitigation here. Can you see this mitigation level? If you can see that price was mitigated, it respected that previous high. You can see structure. So what are my expectations on GBP USD? GBP USD is likely going to pull back to fill this fair value gap. So if you are considering selling GBP USD, you could patiently wait for price to pull back. You can see there was an attempt here to fill this fair value gap at this point, but it was not filled entirely. So I see this high here as a trap for retail traders. Okay, most retail traders that have executed sell. You can see the pattern we had here. We had an hanging man, we had an engulfing candle. Most retail traders would have sold. Okay, and their stop losses will be residing at this previous high. So there is a high probability they would come for this high. Okay, so if you want to take the risk selling from the current market and in trading its probability, there is no guarantee that price will pull back to this zone. Price can just keep, dropping from the current market price. It might not pull back to this zone. So if you want to risk entering the trade from the current market price, your stop loss must be above this fair value gap. Your stop loss must be above this fair value gap. You could use this high, the high of the shooting star candle, or you use the high of this engulfing pattern as your stop loss. But if you take the trade from the current market price, I feel the risk is too high. 13700, and if you're setting your stop loss using this previous side, that is 1.3737, not to 37 to 40 pip risk. So if you're comfortable taking such risk, then you can go ahead and take the trade. Set your stop loss at this point, or you patiently wait for price to pull back to this fair value gap before you consider taking a trade. But if you trade above 0.01 lot size, let's say you trade with 0.02 lot size, you can go in with 0.01 lot size. And when price pulls back to this zone, you go in with the remaining 0.01 lot size. But if all you're trading with is just 0.01 lot size, then you have to wait for price to pull back. Okay, if you're trading with just 0.01 lot size, if that's what your account can accommodate, just patiently wait for above 0.01 lot size, then you could take 0.01 lot size, wait for price to pull back to that zone, then you go with 0.01 lot size. That is clear. Any question? Any question on GU? Okay, let's see Euro USD. Let's start with the daily time frame. So considering how last Friday candle closed, okay, this looks like a shooting star, right? It's a shooting star, a bullish shooting star. So if today's candle closes bearish, we should be considering selling. Okay, if today's candle closes bearish, we should expect more sales on EU tomorrow. Okay, so let's go down to 4 hours. Okay, so you can see on 4 hour, the previous 4 hour candle closed. It closed as a doji after testing this resistance. Okay, it closed as a doji down to lower time frame. It could be that a fair value gap was created after the formation of this pullback to fill that fair value gap. Let's just confirm on what time frame. Okay, so this is what we had on one. Okay, this is 1 hour time frame. Let's say 15 minutes. Let's say 15 minutes. Okay, so I think we had a tiny fair value gap here. Okay, there's a tiny fair value gap here. Let's just work with 5 minutes. There's a fair value gap there. There's a fair value gap. But let's go down to lower time frame. You see it clearly on the lower time frame. Let's go down to 5 minutes. I feel that's the reason for the pullback. Let's see. 5 minutes. You can see we had the fair value gap at this point. Okay, so I believe this is the reason for the pullback. Okay, after creating this fair value gap at this point, it created an high, which is this. Okay, this high is an area of liquidity, and I believe that has been swept. Okay, I believe that high has been swept. Let me change the color. I think that high has been swept. Okay, so you can see that high has been swept and price is now trading below that zone. You can see price is trading after sweeping that zone. Okay, that tells me that Euro USD is bearish. Is bearish. So this pullback we are seeing now, probably there's a fair value gap it wants to fill. Probably it wants to pull back. As you can see, shifting market structure has occurred here on 15 minutes time frame. Shifting market structure has occurred, and after the shifting market structure, price is expected to pull back to a premium area. To a premium area. So if you apply your Fibonacci from this swing high to this swing low, price is expected to pull back to a premium area. And I believe if you go down to lower time frame, there's a fair value gap that has been created after the formation of these candlesticks. Let's just go down to lower time frame. Let's say 5 minutes. That could be the reason. Okay, so you can see we had this fair value gap at this point. Can you see this? Price might pull back to fill this fair value gap. There was an attempt to fill it at this point. You can see there was an attempt to fill this gap at this point, but that wasn't achieved. So this high, I see this high as an area of liquidity that is most likely going to sweep. They're most likely going to sweep this previous high. Okay, so that's my take on. So if you want to sell Euro USD, you could patiently wait for price to come sweep the liquidity residing at this previous high before you sell. If you insist, your stop loss should be at this this is where you should set your stop loss. So calculate the market risk. If you are comfortable with the risk, then you go ahead and take the trade. Sell from this point. This is 1.1727. Stop loss at 1.1750. That's about 23 pips. If you're risking 23 pips, you can aim for 40 pip TP, at least 40 pip. So that's my take on Euro USD. Okay, so let's see USD That's from Mr. Raphael. Okay, Like I said, long time my bias for yen is bearish. So if yen is bearish, we should be looking for buys on USD JPY. Okay, let's start with let's start with the yeah. Okay. And I think see residing at the previous low of last week. I'm sure they've swept that liquidity as you can see. Let's go down to daily. They've swept the liquidity. The sell side liquidity has been swept. Let's see on the daily time frame. Okay, so liquidity residing at this previous low has been swept. Okay, and also if you apply your Fibonacci tool from this swing low to this swing high, it's obvious that price is at a discount area now. Okay, it's obvious that price is at a discount area. Okay, so we're looking for buys on USD JPY. So let's go down to 4 hour time frame. Okay, cool. So you can see the pattern we have on 4 hour. The previous candle looks like okay, it looks like a spinning bottom. If you apply your Fibonacci from this swing low to this swing high, it's obvious that can see can see USDJPY is at a discount area now. Can you see that? It's at a discount area. So there's a high probability that USDJPY will be bullish today. Okay, there's a high probability that USDJPY will be bullish today. And after the formation of this 4 hour candle, let's go down to 1 hour. Let's go down to 1 hour. Let's go down to 1 hour. Should wait. I'm having a class. Okay. Let's go down to 1 hour. Let's see. 1 hour. So you can see the pattern we have on 1 hour time frame. This bullish reversal pattern. We had an hammer, we had invert hammer, and we had an engulfing pattern. Okay, this is on 1 hour time frame. So we need to go down to lower time frame to ensure that there's a shift in market structure on 15 minutes or 5 minutes time frame. Okay, so on 15 minutes, shift in market structure has occurred here. After sweeping liquidity residing at this previous low, you can see shift in market structure occurred at this point. Okay, that's a buy for USDJPY. But as you can see, a fair value gap was created here. A fair value gap was created here. And there was an attempt to fill this fair value gap at this point. You can see. So I see this as a trap. Most retail traders would have bought, and their stop losses will be residing at this previous low. So there is a high probability they would come for these lows. There's a high probability they will come fill this fair value gap. So if you want to buy USDJPY, patiently wait for price to pull back to this zone before you buy. Okay, once price pulls back to this zone, you look out for your buy setup. Okay, and I think let's see lower time frame. There could be a fair value gap at this level also. Let's see 5 minutes. Okay, so on 5 minutes, do we have a fair value gap below? So you can see we have a fair value field completely. You can see these are the two areas you should be considering buying. Okay, these are the two areas you should be considering buying USDJPY. This zone or this zone. I hope that is clear. That's my take on USD JPY. My bias for USD JPY is buy. Okay, buy from this zone, sorry, this zone or this zone. That is where you should look for buys. Any question? Any question? Any question? Is there any other pair want us to analyze? Let me know in the comment section. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Is there any other pair want me to analyze? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section. Let, um, gold. Let's see gold. Um, gold. Let's see gold. Good morning. You're welcome. Let's see gold. Let's see gold. Let's start with the daily time frame, or let's start with the weekly time frame. Weekly. Um, let's start with the daily time frame. Okay, so this is gold. I shared with you guys last week that gold is coming for. You can see this low. I told you guys last week that gold is going to come retest this fair value gap. You can see that's what is playing out. You can see, and I think it has swept the liquidity residing at this previous low. I think that swept the liquidity residing at this previous low. Let's see on 4 hour. Let's see. Okay, so gold is likely going to come sweep this low before going bullish. Okay, it is likely going to come, clear the liquidity residing at this previous low before going bullish. That's what I see playing out on gold. Okay, still gonna come clear the liquidity residing at this previous low before going bullish. That's my take on gold. My bias for gold is bullish, but there's a high probability it will come sweep the liquidity residing at this previous low. Okay, so if you want to buy gold, patiently wait for the liquidity residing at this previous low to be swept before you buy gold. Okay, let's see 15 minutes time frame. I think it's just filled the fair value gap. Let's see 15 minutes, a few minutes. 15 minutes time frame. Okay, so I see gold selling at the moment. Okay, gold is bearish at the moment. Swept liquidity resetting at this previous high, and price is currently trading below this level. That's a sell. That's a sell on gold. Okay, gold is coming for this low. It's coming for this low. Okay, gold is coming for that low. So if you want to sell gold, you could patiently wait for price to pull back. There's a fair value gap here. You can see this fair value gap which has created. You want to wait for price to pull back to fill this fair value gap before you sell gold. Okay. If you are selling, you can see this low here. That could be your first target. This low. That could be your first target. I'm sure it created a fair value gap here, and there was an attempt to fill this fair value gap. And most retail traders would have bought. This is an hammer candle. Most retail traders would have bought. okay, and their stop losses will be residing at this previous low. So they are likely going to come for their stop losses going bullish. Let's identify the fair value gap on 5 minutes time frame. There's a fair value gap below. Yeah, you can see this fair value gap. Okay, we had this fair value gap here. You can see that gap wasn't filled. You can see, you can see that gap wasn't filled at this point. So this low, I believe, is an area of liquidity. Okay, so there's a high probability gold is coming for this low. This should be your first target if you are selling gold. If you want to sell gold, this should be your first target. But wait for price to pull back. You can see this fair value gaps on 5 minutes time frame. You can see this fair value gap. It created this fair value gap. Okay, and there was a pullback. That gap wasn't filled. You can see that. Okay, so this is a trap for retail traders to start selling this bearish pattern here. Most retail traders have entered sell, and where would they have their stop losses? Their stop losses will be residing at this previous high, this highs. So there's a high probability they will sweep the liquidity residing at this previous high and also fill this value gap before going bearish. Okay, so that's what I see playing out on gold today. Gold is a sell, a sell. Okay, it's a sell. You can see shift market structure has occurred on 5 minutes time frame. You can see shift market structure has occurred at this point. So that's my take on gold. Sell. GBP JPY. So if yen is bearish, we should look for buys on GBP JPY. If yen is bearish, then we should look for buys on GJ. So let's start with the daily time frame. Morning, sir. So daily time frame. Okay, so GBJPY has been bearish. Okay, since the market opened, it's been bearish. Let's see for our time frame. Okay, so you can see what's playing out on 4 hour time frame. Can you see what's playing out on 4 hour time frame? This liquidity has been swept. Sorry, this fair value gap. And you can see the pattern that formed after that gap got filled. Looks like an armor, but not a valid armor. In this case, we have to wait for the next 4 hour candle to close bullish. Okay, before you buy, you want to wait for the next 4 hour candle to close bullish before you buy. You also need to ensure that there's a shift in market structure on 1 hour or 15 minutes time frame before. Let's go down to, okay, so you can see on 1 hour time frame we had an armor here. This is an armor candle, a bearish armor, and after the formation of a bearish armor, you are expected to wait for the next candle to close bullish. You can see the next candlestick, which indicates that there are 6 sellers in the market. Okay, so before you buy, you want to ensure that the next candlestick closes bullish. So if the current candle closes bullish, then one can risk buying GJ if it closes bullish, but you need to ensure there's a shift in market structure on 15 minutes or 5 minutes time frame. You need to ensure there's a shift in market structure on 15. So as you can see on 15 minutes, there is no shift in market structure. So even if the current candle closes bullish and there is no shift in market structure, you cannot buy. Okay, shift in market structure on 15 minutes would occur at this high. Okay, so if the current 1 hour candle closes bullish and it doesn't close above these previous highs, that's not a good setup. That's not a good setup with the previous highs. Okay, so that's my take on GJ bullish. If you want to buy GJ, wait for price or a candle to close above this previous high before you buy. And if you are buying above this level, your stop loss, ensure you set your stop loss. Okay, if you're not using stop loss on your trade, you're just gambling in the market. You're a confused trader. If you don't use stop loss on your trade, you're just gambling in the market. And gamblers don't make money in this market. You just keep playing your account. Okay, so if you're not using stop loss, you're a confused trader. You must apply stop loss on every of your trade. But if you're okay playing your account, no problem. Don't use stop loss. It's not a must. You are your own boss. You decide on what you want to do in this market. Okay. Any question? Any question? Any question? Okay, so I think that'll be all for today's session. I think that'll be all. So I guess there are no questions. Any question? Any question? Mr. Raphael, Mr. Ebuka, Mr. Adebayo. If you have any question or any pay you want me to analyze, let me know in the comment section. Please, if you are yet to give the video a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up so that others can get to see this video. If you haven't done that, please give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time joining the live stream, please subscribe to the channel so that anytime I come on live or drop a video, you get notified by YouTube. Ensure you're subscribed to the channel. All right. Wish you guys a wonderful day. Bye for now.